Hey everybody, welcome back to the next episode of ERT. I'm Derrick.
And I'm Kara.
So yeah, it's been a little while. A lot of things have been going on around here, just crazy. I took a new job, a new position in my company that I work at. And that has really taken up a lot of my time, just the whole transition period. And then also at the same time, we decided to do like a big renovation on our house. And pretty much any free time that I had was me working on that. So now that some of that has been put behind us, I guess, I don't know, we've had a little free time. And then this past weekend, we went away to American Dream. So yeah, that was fun. It was our first official vacation trip, whatever, of 2023. And the last time we were there was in 2020. It was literally 2 weeks before the pandemic happened. So yeah, a little bit different vibe. Also this time, DreamWorks was open. So yeah, we went and did DreamWorks and Nickelodeon Universe. So yeah, we're here excited to talk about it. We're going to talk about the best and worst or pros, cons, whatever we want to look at it. Yeah, who knows?
All the things that we loved and didn't love.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into how our day went. We started off at DreamWorks. So I don't know, what was your thought at DreamWorks?
So yeah, we started off 11 o'clock. We went to the water park. First impression, it's huge. Like, it's overwhelming how big it is when you finally walk in there.
Yeah, it's very big. You know, to jump back just a quick second, you mentioned that 11 o'clock, which makes me bring up something. Most parks, when they open up at 11, would make you think, oh, get there at 10:30, get through, get your pass and all that stuff and wait to get into the park. No, at DreamWorks and Nickelodeon Universe, everything opens at 11 o'clock. If you want to pick up your ticket, you got to wait till 11 o'clock to pick up that ticket. So, wasn't expecting that. But anyways, yeah, back to the water park, super big. They obviously have that giant wave pool, the world's longest indoor water coaster. All their slides were pretty decent length.
Yeah, they were very long, and they're all just like spaghettied in there. Like you just keep going and like, oh, there's more slides. Oh wait, there's more slides, and wait, there's a slide over there. And how do you get to that one?
In the back of the park, because the wave pool is more or less like the middle front of the park, I guess you could say. And then on the back of it, it looks like it's just like the play area and like the kids section. But there's even 3 more giant slides behind that, which it's just how the lighting is set up that you cannot see it from the other side of the park because it's too dark back there until you get over and you realize, oh, there's these other giant slides back there. So yeah, there's lots to do in there. The kids really loved, I think probably their favorite was the wave pool, which we really enjoyed the wave pool too. The waves were great. Because it's so large, even though it got really crowded, you still felt like you had a nice little spot in the wave pool. Because I'm sure y'all all been to other wave pools where you get in there and it feels like it's like shoulder to shoulder, and it's like, what am I doing here? I didn't feel like that in this one.
I mean, this wave pool is so huge that even though there were hundreds of people in the wave pool with us, you didn't feel like anyone was going to crash into you or that you were going to crash into anybody. There was like this huge bubble of space around, even though there was so many people. It's just because the pool is so huge.
Yeah. And I don't know if the place was really busy. I don't know what really is the standard. We went there on a Saturday, so we were expecting larger crowds. However, I didn't really have to wait for any slide. We went and did the Toothless, whatever it's called, it's the indoor, the longest water coaster. We went and did that right away because I was afraid that would get a really long wait, and me and Braylon walked right on it, and then you came back and you had to wait a little bit because they were adding more boats or something.
They were adding more tubes, yeah.
Yeah, but I think even as they went along, that was still moving around pretty efficiently. Mm-hmm. I noticed that there are 2 giant body slides, like the one with like the trap door or whatever. Nobody would ride those. You could look up there and you could see nobody was up there, and I just wanted to catch a couple people going down. So the footage that you see of people going down that, I literally stood there for like 5-10 minutes waiting for somebody to go down that slide.
Praying for somebody.
Yeah, because you couldn't even tell if anybody was up there or not if they're going to go down. But so yeah, because I wasn't going to do it. It's not my style.
Nobody else was either.
I like some body slides, but I don't know. Those are just not my thing. But overall, it was fun. Just for the kids, they pretty much were spent in that place by like 2:30, 3 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So, and then obviously they were pretty excited to get over to Nickelodeon Universe. But
should we talk about, we did eat in the water park.
We did eat in the water park, which all the food is kind of tucked towards the entrance, and it was, I don't know if you would say it was difficult per se to find, but it didn't seem like there was like
way
food
back
everywhere
in the corner. It was weird.
And it is very pricey, so I'll just let you know. And the thing about the water park is once you're in there and you leave, you cannot get back in without buying another admission. So you pretty much have to use their food.
You cannot leave.
Yeah, you can't go up to the food court or something. But again, that seems like a pretty big hassle to go get yourself, dressed and all that and head on out because you're obviously soaking wet from the water park.
Yeah.
But yeah, the food was expensive. It was okay. We just got like burger and fries.
I mean, it was just traditional theme park food. It was just burgers and
yeah, I think
chicken.
in that one, I didn't know with the other food stand if they had another one, but that one was just burgers, fries, hot dogs, and like chicken tenders. That was like pretty much it. Well, chicken tenders, it was literally like McDonald's chicken nuggets.
Did they have a bar?
No, okay, so they had the mocktail. It was mocktails is what it was.
Oh,
so they had like, it was pretty much like slushies. I was actually thinking about going and getting one, but then we just started eating and I didn't go get one. But
interesting.
so yeah, it was like they had like, like slushy margaritas, sangrias, or whatever it was.
But they're mocktails.
Yes, they're mocktails. There's no as far as I
alcohol?
understand, there's no alcohol in this water park. So for all those who just love to drink at the water parks, I don't think there was any. I could be wrong, but I don't think there was.
What about, okay, so if you're standing in the wave pool, looking at the front of the park, it's to your right is all like the cabanas?
Yeah, so you can rent like these, well, they have the cabanas actually there in the water park area, and then they have like these, they almost look like little mini hotel rooms or boxes, I guess.
Boxes is a good word.
Yeah, I think that's actually what they called them. They were like overlook boxes or something. I don't know, but they were like super insane expensive from what I could gather, but it was.
But they were full.
Yes, everybody a ton of people were buying them,
there.
so I guess everybody likes them. So.
I mean, I guess if the idea is you're spending the money to come to the water park, you cannot leave the water park without buying another admission. So if you're gonna come and you're gonna spend the whole day, then I guess you splurge and you get the box.
Yeah,
and you spend the whole day.
Which really brings it to one of our first main cons is the money aspect. On peak day, I believe just a single admission is $99 to this water park, which as far as I understand is the most expensive water park in the United States. And on like a non-peak day, it's like $79, which is still insanely expensive. So it's kind of like, if you're going to go, I guess you're going to go all in, so expect to pay money. But, I mean, overall, it's a nice water park. Like I said, there's tons to do. I think my other con, though, is as much as I love indoor water parks, I love the ones that are, like, at a resort. Because when you're done, you can just quickly, like, go right up to your room. And this is just, it's in the mall. So it's like you have to go through the whole process right there. Get changed, dressed, get ready to get out. And then obviously you might still be like feeling nasty from the chlorine if you didn't shower off in there as well. So yeah, I mean, depending on how you want to look at that, that was just, I mean, I guess it's kind of like any other outdoor water park, per se, where, if you're just going to go visit the water park. But I don't know, I kind of like the whole idea of like an indoor water park and a resort, because it's kind of like, I feel like they almost go like hand in hand.
Yeah. And you can leave them and come back.
Yeah, very easy at those, because you can just go up to your room and then come back, like 2 minutes later or something like that. I mean, obviously hang out in your room for a little bit and then come down. It takes 2 minutes, but...
The other thing that I noticed I felt like the park was very clean. Like the water park was very well kept. And there were people who were walking around who were like squeegeeing water off of the pathways so that they weren't slippery. And it just felt very well kept.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. It's the other thing I was thinking too about like with the theming. When you look at it, it's like you can see the theming and it looks nice. But when you're like actually on the rides and doing stuff, you don't notice any of the theming, which was interesting. It almost kind of felt like a smorgasbord of random stuff in there, which we'll get to that when we get into the Nickelodeon universe. But yeah. It's still nice. But again, my still big takeaway, it's $99. So if you're dying to go here, yeah. But I mean, I feel like if you look at it as a family of 4, that's $400 to go to the water park. You can go to like a Kalahari resort on a peak night, which we've looked for like $300, which would give you all access to the water park and the night. So, take it as you were in that kind of scenario. So, well, let's just move on. And then, so after that, we went back to our hotel. We got dressed, freshened up, and then we headed on over to Nickelodeon Universe. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, what was your first take with that?
So it's very interesting. You walk through the mall and you come to Nickelodeon Universe. You can see it from the top level, and then you just go down the escalator and you're in the park. There really isn't like a grand entrance. I mean, there's like the slime thing.
Well, I was gonna say, there's this, but there's the blimp, and then the big giant like LED Nickelodeon.
There's
Universe
no like security to go through or like a main gate to go through, I guess is my what I'm saying. Like every other park, you go through security, you go through the main ticketing gate.
Yeah, which that was kind of in my mind. Like I understand, like any mall, you don't really walk through a security to go into the mall and whatnot. But it just kind of felt like you kind of had that in the back of your head. I hate to even say something like that, but I don't know if I felt like 100% safe in the mall. Especially because it can get really crowded on there, pretty chaotic.
The mall was packed.
Yeah, it was pretty busy, which, I mean, good thing for the mall that they're keeping busy, because I know I keep hearing people saying, oh, they're going to run out of business. But, I mean, it seems like they're, from when we were there in 2020 to now, a lot more shops have opened up.
Huge difference.
Yeah, the mall's really flourishing, so there's a lot of stuff to do.
Okay,
yeah.
Obviously it was a Saturday, and when we were going into Nickelodeon Universe was in the late afternoon and the evening.
Yeah.
But there were just people everywhere in the mall. I mean, carrying bags, like arms full of bags and full of stuff. People everywhere.
But with that, though, unlike our last trip when we went to a Nickelodeon Universe, it was around 2 o'clock by that time. We left because the shortest line you could find was like an hour, and that was literally to get on like the carousel. It was just complete chaos. That was that's what I said in 2020. Yeah, it was complete chaos. This time there was some lines that said somewhere on like 30 to 45 minutes, which they were pretty decently, and some of that might be because of operations, which we'll get to. But like Shellraiser, that was practically a walk on the entire day. Like you might have waited at certain points depending on when people went over there. You might wait like 10 minutes. Or a little bit longer, but it more or less, it was almost a walk on the entire day. So I rode it 3 times. Don't know why I rode it 3 times, but I rode it 3 times. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, we talked about security. That's a different thing. I mean, obviously earlier in the day, there was like 7, 8 security guard police officers all standing around the entrance stuff, which made you feel better. But as the day went along, it just kind of seemed like you're just at a mall. Really.
It's just it does. It feels like a mall. It's just very strange to walk through the mall and then just go down the escalator and now you're in an amusement park.
Yeah. So as I was saying about the theming over there, I said it's like a smorgasbord, and that's literally kind of I felt like about Nickelodeon Universe, because every ride is themed, and because every ride is themed to like something different, it almost felt like, because there's so much individual theming, it almost felt like there was no theming. It's kind of like almost the way I kind of feel like I can describe it. It's just like it all just kind of blended together, which kind of made it still seem weird. But I mean, that's just me picking on like theming and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I guess since I said I rode Shellraiser,
I was gonna say talk about Shellraiser.
Yeah, since I rode it 3 times. So yeah, the first time I rode it in the back, I thought it was okay. It was a little rattly, and then the second time I rode it in the front right seat, the far right seat. And that was super painful. In fact, my neck actually still hurts today. It was like, I just felt like it was beating me up the whole time. I was like, why would anybody want to ride this roller coaster after that? So I did, though. I rode it the third time I rode this time in the back in a middle seat, and it was completely different.
So anyways, you rode the front right seat.
Yeah, I rode the front right. Yeah, that was awful. And then I rode in the back seat, and yeah, that was so much better. Still, it was actually smoother than was my first ride when I rode on the back far left seat. I sat literally the seat right next to it, and it was better. Like, more enjoyable ride. It's still just a touch rattly, but definitely, like, that's where you could ride it and enjoy it. Yeah, but yeah, that, like, front, probably the left as well. I haven't ridden in the front left, but that front right that was just awful. It just felt like it was jackhammering at the bottom of every inversion. And it just, at the halfway point, I was like, I just wanted to get off the ride. I was done with it. I was like, this thing is just beating me up. And I'm like, I still have another 3 more inversions to go, right? Yeah, 3 more inversions, I think, to go after that point. I don't remember, 3 or 4. But,
so I rode in the exact same seat. When I rode Shellraiser, yes. I rode the front right seat because obviously it was just me by myself. So they were just like putting me on in an empty seat. And I knew I should have told the guy that I wanted to wait and ride in the back middle somewhere. But I was just like, well, I'll just get on.
Maybe that's why, maybe that actually kind of explains why the line is so short for Shellraiser. I mean, it could be. I mean, you get that one bad seat, it's not a good ride. So take that. I did go on the slime streak, which that had like the world's slowest operations. And again, I don't like picking on it. And I was watching them, being me super analytical about everything. But I mean, they had a system going. But so the problem is it was like 4 to 5 minutes each time they dispatched a train. They only have one train and it holds 20, but it was actually only holding 18 that day because they had one row blocked. So pretty much how it worked is it worked in all sorts of stages. So let's just say the train just left a station. So then the lady would have to scan everybody's wristband. Then she would assign them to a row. And usually by that time, that's when the train would pull in. So then the people would have to get off the train. The next people would then have to be let in. And the gates don't automatically open. They're not like the airlock gates or whatever. She has to go around and individually open each individual gate, which takes time, and let the people in. And then they go sit down. And then when you sit down, you can't touch your restraints. The lady has to personally, which is just one, she has to go and push down everybody's restraint, which takes like another minute. So yeah, that would take like a minute. And then they could finally dispatch the train. So there wasn't many people in line, but it took us, that was the longest I did that night, was waiting for Well, and then you waited the longest probably for Shredder.
But the only reason we waited the length of time we waited, there was no line. I mean, there was probably only, I don't know, maybe 15 to 20 people in front of us, but we were very close. We were only, I don't know, maybe 10 people away from getting on the ride, and somebody puked or something, which obviously, takes forever to clean up. And so they have to like come through, and they have to sprinkle the stuff all over, and they have to do all these things. And of course, I mean, they're just time. Kids. And so they're laughing with and I'm like, just clean the train.
Yeah, there was that going on. But for the kids, though, I mean, that's really the main reason why we went back, because unfortunately, the two coasters that I haven't ridden there is Sandy's Blasting Bronco, and is it Timmy or Jimmy's Half Pike Havoc? I keep getting it mixed up. Is it Timmy or Jimmy? I don't know. It doesn't matter. The Half Pike Havoc.
We've never ridden it, so...
They're both closed, so I couldn't ride those anyway. So it was mainly there for the kids. The kids, obviously, our youngest son is really into Blaze and Paw Patrol. So he really liked the Blaze ride. And then obviously they loved the Paw Patrol play area, which actually, that is probably one of the better play areas at any park, because it's very detailed to, like, you have all the cars, all the Paw Patrol cars that they can get into, the tower. There's a lot of stuff there to see and do. And I mean, they probably spend a whole hour in there.
Oh, and they would have stayed in there for another hour if we would have let them. They loved it in there. And I mean, the thing that most impressed me about it was, obviously we were there in 2020.
Yeah.
So it's been 3 years. It looks the exact same.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's like worn down or like
are still shiny.
Chunks out of it.
The paint is still all like 100%. It still looks brand new, just like it did when we were there in 2020, which was very impressive because the kids climb all over those things, and I can't imagine.
Yeah, no, for real. It was But yeah, I mean, there is a decent amount of kid rides, and again, that's, like I said, that was kind of a primary focus for this trip, and they got to meet some characters. Mm-hmm. They met, was it Everest or Sky? Everest, and then they met Chase and Marshall. Yeah. So yeah, they were excited for that.
They had like a little mini Paw Patrol show.
Yeah, they just came out and danced to like 2 songs and went away or something like that. I don't know. It was enough to grab everybody's attention, and kids get excited, and yeah, and then they would go pretty much right into the meet and greet like 10 minutes after that.
Mm-hmm. So that was fun.
Yeah. Again, overall take is price-wise, that this one's a little bit cheaper. I think it's like $79 on peak, and then I think it's $69 on a non-peak. Or Saturdays you have to get a wristband, but if you do any other days, you can buy like they call it like the access points, I think what it was. And each ride is either 3 or 6 points, and I think to buy 6 points, it's like $10 or something, which is pretty much enough to get on one roller coaster, is more or less how to look at it. So there is that option. So if you're like, you don't want to dish out the full $69 and you're just looking to get on a ride or two, I would totally take advantage of that.
As long as you're not there on a Saturday.
Yeah, as long as you're not there on a Saturday, because it does not work on a Saturday, which is, I was kind of hoping to do that because I was like, I only wanted to ride a couple things. Like, I would have been happy if I only rode Shellraiser once, but nope, we had to buy the whole ticket. So is it worth it? I mean, for me, it's just, I don't know. It's a pretty hefty price tag, especially, let's just put it this way. If it's in the summer, I couldn't imagine why I would ever want to come to American Dream. And I don't say that to attack the property, because I think there's a lot of nice things about it. But when I look at the price range versus other options I would have available to me in the summer, it just does not compete. There's anyway, especially the water park. 100% the water park would not compete. Sure, it does have some great slides, but I mean, I think for most of us, we look at like, oh, what's the difference between this one is, 50 feet taller or 20 feet taller? I don't know. But yeah, that's really, I mean, that's probably what you hear a lot of people say, but the real takeaway is the price tag.
Yeah.
So full disclosure, because we did both the water park and Nickelodeon Universe in one day, it's called the Dream Pass. We were looking at the idea of splitting it in between 2 days and doing it on Saturday and Sunday. However, I have a crazy schedule lined up, and I couldn't justify us saying we would have gotten home really, really late on Sunday because it's about a 5.5 hour drive back home. So we crammed it all in one day, which worked anyways for the kids because they really did as much as they wanted to do in that water park. And we dragging it out longer probably just wouldn't have worked for them. But I think it was $145 a person. All I know is we ended up paying, it was like $630 for one day between those between those two parks, between all four of us.
People, yeah.
So yeah, that is 100% Disney prices right there. That's like us spending a whole day at Disney. Actually, it might even be a little bit more. And especially, actually, the food that we spent, I spent over $50 on a burger, the chicken sandwich, and the chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
It was $50. It was like $56 or something. It was more expensive, which is on par or even a little bit more than what we've actually spent on some food at Disney.
Yeah.
So that's, like I said, a heads up that like 100% these are Disney prices. Be warned. That's just the best way I can put it. But if you're a water park enthusiast, this is one of the nicer ones out there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's, in the middle of winter and you live close by, then yeah, Nickelodeon Universe it's a decent point. If you can go during the weekday, again, take advantage of those points if you're just looking to hit a ride or two. But again, there's the pass, which I think during the week I said is like $69. But so yeah, that's pretty much it. Did you have any more input on this?
Oh, the other thing that we were very disappointed by, you pay all of this money, and how many rides in Nickelodeon Universe were closed?
Yeah. So we just mentioned those two roller coasters that were closed.
The two coasters were closed.
The SpongeBob, like the swings ride, was closed. The drop tower was closed. Mm-hmm. And for the kids wise, I think the Blue's Clues ride was closed. And I think there was one other kid ride, or at least there was one other kid ride that was closed, but I can't think of what it is off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Which is a little disappointing. I was actually, as silly it is, I was actually kind of looking to ride the SpongeBob, the swing ride or whatever, the one that's all themed to like, to the jellyfish. But because I know Braylon really like it, but yeah, we just couldn't.
What the rides are in there are what the rides are. And when 4, 5, 6 of them are closed, that's a huge percentage of rides that are closed.
And I hear that's normal. Like I just watched somebody else who did a review on Nickelodeon Universe, and he was complaining that it took him forever to find a time that he could go to the park where all the roller coasters were open at once, which I guess is an extreme rarity. And as you can see, we ran into that same issue. Those two roller coasters were closed. But yeah, so that's...
yeah, they don't drop the price because half the rides are closed.
Yeah.
Like, it's still really
major
expensive.
rides anyways. Yeah. So yeah, just something to be aware of. At least they were up front and they have it listed out front, though. They only had that listed for those two rides. They didn't tell you up front that the drop tower was closed and the SpongeBob ride was closed.
They just had the two roller coasters listed.
Yeah, that was it. So yeah, it was unfortunate, but
so yeah,
that's our overall takeaway. Well, we're glad to be back. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more content here at Screen Thrills.